failed to mention someone that is very important to our history, and her name escapes me right now, but her daughter, Sister Rashida, another member here, her mother is one of our long-standing members, and as you saw from the slides, a great many of African Americans were the initial members of the Jamaat. Well, we still got some hanging around, and she's one of them. She's actually, I know she's 90 plus, but she's a member of our Philadelphia Jamaat. So, moving forward, I just want to say this quickly. I only have 10 minutes. You know, our Jamaat started with a very humble effort. And it was a man, I thought and I think, and maybe I asked a question. Why do you think he wore green turban, green robe? Anybody? Somebody? Sign of peace? What else? Well, I'll tell you what I thought. I thought that got to be an attention grabber. You see a man in a green turban, this is something unusual. So what he wanted was attention. He sought out attention. So he put on his green, like I got on today. You see? Really. So that's what he was seeking, attention. And they came in, they kicked down the door, this one man. And he came in and boldly, after just a few years, he converts 700 people. And then his young team comes in, Kodam, missionaries, warriors, fearless, bold. And what did they do? They converted thousands. Now, to get to my slides. By the time they finished this amazing effort, I mean, just a few short years. We're in what each year is? The year is 1962. Since 1920. 1962, where are we at? We're in the White House. In the White House. Zafullah Khan is invited there. He's the president of the United Nations Assembly. He has a strong handle on language. So he's invited there by then President Kennedy. And the president says, some of the most difficult problems in the General Assembly involve the remaining colonial areas in Africa and the problem of apartheid in South Africa. And view of Zafullah Khan's long experience in the United Nations because of his ability to analyze such matters in an imperial judicial manner, we would be interested in his views regarding future development in the southern part of Africa. Specifically, what are his ideas as to how the long-range solutions of the racial problems of southern Africa might evolve? We got a problem right here in America. And he's saying, here, I got the solution. We also, on the other side of that photo, you see Sister Mubaraka Malik. She ran for the 5th congressional seat in Wisconsin. And she presented the Holy Quran to then President Gerald Ford. See, these people, they understood. When you're in a position of a person that is influential, then you should express your views. Because we have the views, right? We have the true Islam. We have the true message. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. So now you have our Khalifa, the third Khalifa. He's now, then we're advancing, man. We're advancing, you know. Now our leader has arrived. And look at that second article. This is, look out. He wants you. Look out. He wants you. We want you too. Okay? So you see there, he's in Chicago. Hazrat Mirza Tahir, he goes to Chicago. And in 74, we're declared non-Muslims. Next slide. Again, you have some pictures of the fourth Khalifa. He comes and he visits our jalsas in the 80s. And you have the martyrdom of Dr. Muzaffar Ahmed that took place in Detroit. Unfortunately, they started getting mad. They said, "Uh oh," and so they tried to destroy a small part of our organization. May Allah have mercy on him. But these are some of the things that were happening. The violations of human rights in Pakistan with the Hudud ordinances, which outlaw us from having any type of symbolism, any type of verbalization of Islam. We're murdered, homes destroyed, mosques burned, all kinds of stuff's happening, persecution. So this has started happening after our efforts. Next slide. Okay, so you see it says 1984 necessitated migration out of Pakistan because of the persecution that was taking place. So we had to move on. We had to move out of there to their unfortunate loss. But we moved out of there. But if you look at the map and you see right down there where at the very bottom it's 1890. Where are we? Where are we? One place. One place. India. Right? This is where it all started. One little teeny little place down there. Then by 1920, we're in North America, we're in West Africa, we're in Asia, and we're in South America, Australia. And then we move forward. In the 50s, we start to spread more out into the Middle West. We spread up to Europe and Russia, and we keep spreading and spreading. Amazing. Look at the picture. Look at it. One man that was 30 years old said, listen, go. We want to start spreading this message. This comes from a dream, a true dream. Now we are part of it. Next slide. So in 1994, we moved our headquarters from Washington, D.C. to Beit Rahman in Silver Springs, Maryland. And it was the launch of, I believe, MTA. And just let me tell you quickly how advanced we are. When I got MTA, when I first got it, we had a giant dish, huge. Brother Tahir came to my house. I was on the side. So I was in the living room. Point to the left, to the right. Left, right. Okay, we got a signal. That was MTA's beginning. Now you just pick up your phone. Boom. Your iPad. Boom. I mean, instantaneously. MTA is like CNN, MSNBC. I was in London. It was crazy. They had different teams. The Africa team, the North America team, the Canadian team. This is us. This is us. Now, you can't tell me this ain't divine, man. They said, the man said my message going to spread to the four corners of the earth, and voila, here we are. Okay? MTA. So it was launched. And it wasn't all well received at first, if I might add. But the Khalifa knew better, like they all do. So, moving forward, how much time I got left? Over? Okay. All right. Okay. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so now because of the persecution and all what's going on and our influence, our ability to get into these, offers of political, legislation, we're now starting to introduce the persecution to lawmakers. So you see down there in the corner, the Khalifa wrote a book on world crisis. That's actually letters that he had sent to heads of states, including Obama, Putin, and all the rest of them. Brave man. He said, I'm sending letters just like Muhammad, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He sent them to the heads of states. Well, our Khalifa did the same thing. He sent it out and said, this is how you want to avert World War III. And he sent it to him boldly. Again, remember, he's a bold man. He's bold like the predecessors. How bold are you? Next slide. think this is my last. Okay, so as you can see how advanced and beautiful we are. Look at us. Amazing, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. Remember that little green spot in the corner there? This is the result. Boom. The Khalifa now goes before the United States Congress. Y'all heard Nancy Pelosi on the news for the last 3 months about all that mess that was going on. Nancy Pelosi, who's up there? And you look at the video, she's like, I'm so glad you're here. So thankful. Where are we? We can't be hidden, y'all. We got to show up. So there you see him going down on House of the Hill with a representation. You see him there with Mayor Kenny receiving his keys to the city from us. And there are several books now you see that we publish. Muslims for Life, Muslims for Loyalty, How to Stop something, Messages of Peace. We have all these publications now to distribute to the American public. We got it easy, y'all. Seriously. But we slipping. All right? So the last thing I'll say is that March of this year, once again, the brave warriors of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community will converge on the house on the hill. We'll be in Congress. Listen, guys and ladies, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah Rafiq Saab. And last but not least, we have Nair Saab, who's going to present the last 3 slides, talking about what we're doing this year and presenting a message from our Khalifa for this day.
Assalamu alaikum. It's going to need to go to the next slide. Next slide. Thank you. So, for the future Ahmadiyya Islam, what we plan for the Centennial Day in the year, we'll start with the National Tahajjud Prayer, which you guys did earlier today. After that, we'll go into the general meeting, celebrating our history and pioneer work of our early Ahmadiyya Muslims and the community service project. Next, we will go to our Centennial Iftar, where we invite friends, family, and local officials to open mosque and iftar to enlighten them on our historic presence in the United States. Next, we will also invite our fellow friends and neighbors and encourage them to travel to the historic Jalsa Salana that will commemorate the centennial year of USA Jamaat and invite external guests and dignitaries. Also, we will have or join a parade to highlight our 100-year history as loyal citizens of America on July 4th, which is the Declaration Day for the United States. On September 11th, Muslims for Remembrance, we will honor 9/11 victims by inviting Jamaat members and neighbors for a centennial blood drive in connection with the 10th anniversary of the Muslims for Life campaign. And lastly, we will celebrate Memorial Day and Veterans Day by showing the spirit of Islam and also by inviting honorable military personnel and veterans and also have an event with them. A way to keep track of these things, we have Twitter and social media, as you can see, and a website that keeps track of all the events and the things that we do, and MTA captures all these things as well. Next slide, please. So as you see here, this is the historical timeline of Ahmadiyya. It's a lot of key events here. I'll just be touching a few. We're going to start with the birth of the promised Messiah, which was 1835. And then you see the early youth that goes into 1860, 1880, 1889. In 1889, he founded the Jamaat, which is one of the next key events I'll touch on. Following would be the beginning, the Caliphate. The establishment of Caliphate began again in 1908 with the death of the promised Messiah and the election of the first Khalifa. The rest of the timeline was covered in the previous slides in the presentation, which would be the Centennial year from 1920 to 2020. And in our last slide, I will read to you Hazor's letter for the 100-year celebration. Next slide. Oh, thank you. Respected Amir Saab Jamaat Ahmadiyya USA. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. You have requested for a message to Jamaat Ahmadiyya USA, expressing gratitude to Allah on the completion of 100 years and to celebrate the centennial of the USA Jamaat. Exactly 100 years ago today, on February 15th, Hazrat Mufti Muhammad Sadiq Sahib Oh, thank you. Yeah. Hazrat Mufti Muhammad Sadiq Sahib arrived there with the message of the promised Messiah alayhi salam and the spirit and enthusiasm with which he worked, and many virtuous souls entered the fold of Islam Ahmadiyya. Unfortunately, their progenies were far away from the Ahmadiyya, and the Jamaat could not retain them. With this background, therefore, my message is that with the same spirit and enthusiasm, using all your faculties, you should get involved today once again and giving the message of Islam Ahmadiyya to the people of America. And secondly, you should find and bring back the lost generations of those virtuous souls that we could not retain earlier. We should connect with them and bring them back in the lap of Ahmadiyya, as I have already asked you during one of my visits after watching the pictures of the earlier converts in exhibition. Therefore, these centennial days should not be just to celebrate the past 100 years, but these should be to devote yourself in spreading the teachings and preachings of Ahmadiyya with a renewed vigor and fever. These days should be used to regenerate the dynamicism and the spirit of Hazrat Mufti Muhammad Sadiq Sahib, to find the righteous souls, so that as a Jamaat expands here, in the same way their moral and spiritual training is also taken care of. May Allah grant you the ability to do so, and may Allah grant you the strength and determination to achieve this as one united Jamaat altogether, so that very soon this country comes in the fold of Islam Ahmadiyya and is enlightened in the light of Allah and His Messenger. Please, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him. Wa salam. Jazakallah.
Okay, before you close out, brother, just wanted to point out some very important words that the Khalifa has shared with us as a community. And one of the things he said, and it's a little sad for me, because he said, we have to put effort out to find those lost souls. He said, I looked at the pictures of the earlier converts, and he said, we could not retain them. We could not retain them. It's very interesting, because most of them were African Americans. And he said we couldn't retain them. So we now have been charged to go get them back. And we have the good fortune of being in a neighborhood that is primarily those souls. We got to find the lost souls. And we have to devote ourselves again to the great spirit of Muhammad Mufti Sadiq that arrived here in just a few hours. He's on the boat and he's coming over now. He's getting ready to land. 4:30. He arrived on the pier. So imagine he's on the boat now. And the ship's coming in, and he's full of anxiety about what's going on. You know, he's had some level of success on the boat. And then he's getting ready to arrive in just a few hours, and we're going to go down there, and you're all invited to come. We're going to do a small ceremony down there to commemorate him arriving, 4:30. But imagine he's on this boat, and he's getting ready to arrive, and he's already converted some people. And when he gets here, he lands in handcuffs. What a welcome, right? We just went through a remarkable history. A remarkable history. Now, guess what we're doing? We're making history. This is the next 100 years starting day one. What part are you going to play in our amazing history? And I got a message from Azar Hanif this morning, and he says the future is bright. Inshallah. Zakallah.
Jazakallah. That concludes the presentation. I'll ask Sadr Saab to close with some closing comments.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh. I think we have covered a lot of ground today in terms of the history. And the message that Hazur Khalifatul Masih Ayyadullah Ta'ala bin Aziz sent on this occasion was read out to you yesterday also and today. It's very profound and should help us do some soul searching and make some resolutions. How you're going to address that, how you're going to respond to it. And it is our individual as well as our collective responsibility to take it seriously and take it to the next level. And I would like to close this meeting with requests for all of us to join in silent prayer, and that may Allah enable us to realize and live up to our responsibilities and our obligations in terms of spreading the message of Islam as well as in absorbing the message of Islam in our personal lives. It's useless to talk about Islam and spreading Islam if we are not practicing it. If we are not presenting the same picture of righteousness that Hazrat Masih Maud brought, what are we inviting people to? So it's both time for reflection and time for resolution to do something about it internally and externally. So please, if you'll join with me in silent prayer. Ameen, summa ameen. So this concludes our meeting. Lajna can have their program. Inshallah, we'll have quick election. I know you're all hungry and the food is ready too. Or I think if you have the quorum, let's do it. I know it's a little long morning for you, but it's only election for 4 representatives. It shouldn't take that long, as long as everybody does the. We have the quorum. Okay. So for those, yeah, go ahead. Just. Yeah, and those who are not able to vote for one reason or the other, they are excused. They can go downstairs and start the lunch. Those who are supposed to be here, they are included in the election process. They should please remain seated. And what I like to do is that if they will, those who are sitting on the floor, if they can form some lines so we can count them and we can get started, right? So you have to give me the form so we can. For what? हैं जी ओ असर दे बात नहीं कर देंगे दसिया है अस्सलाम वालेकुम next on after